What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got some more shorts today. These theories will make you rethink everything. So here we go.
You need to say goodbye to Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, and Cash App because FedNow is coming and you don't have a choice. FedNow is a payment service by the government coming out in July that your bank will have to sign up for, which is the first step to make the dollar digital. Now, how does this work? Well, if you buy something on Amazon, your money won't go directly to Amazon anymore. It will first go through the Fed's account and then go to Amazon. This means the government will know everything you use your money for, and if they want to, they can reject any purchase you make, take money out whenever, and decide what you can and can't spend your money on. Yes, it will be faster for payments to settle, easier to get stimulus, and lowers costs that you have to pay to your banks, but your privacy is gone. So is it truly worth it? And guess what? You don't even have a choice to participate or not. Our banks are the ones who will decide.
Because the banks run the world.
Have you seen this ingredient in a food product you've consumed before? Citric acid. You're probably thinking, yeah, that comes from limes or lemons, right? Wait until you hear this. Many years ago, citric acid did come from lemons, and it was used as a bit of a preservative. And now, citric acid is a major industrial chemical produced at 2 million tons a year worldwide. Its main source is not from fruit, but from the fermentation of crude sugars, e.g. molasses and cornstarch, by the mold Asparagus niger. Let's dig into this a little deeper. So they take this mold strain, feed it sugars from corn. I don't think organic corn, more likely GMO corn. And then they take the byproduct of that, citric acid, and add it to millions of food-like products. So citric acid is not from fruit. It's a byproduct of mold that was fed GMO corn syrup. Does this ingredient benefit us, or does it weaken us? You decide.
Shout out to Retro.
The world is scripted. Wake up, Simpsons.
Which way did Mason go? That must be him over there.
The search in the Atlantic Ocean in the same area that the Titanic sunk 111 years ago. In that disaster, more than 1,500 people were killed. Today, the Coast Guard launched a rescue mission 13,000 feet below the surface for a submarine carrying 5 people. It went missing during an expedition to the Titanic.
A submarine carrying tourists to see the wreckage of the Titanic has gone missing. The clock is ticking if there is any hope of finding the Titanic submersible.
This particular submersible is advertised to have 96 hours of survival time.
Stockton Rush, I'm the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Let's take a look at Titan.
This video was taken just moments before
A
departure.
completely new approach to the sub design, and it's all run with this game controller and these touch
Game
screens.
controller.
So if you want to go forward, you press forward. If you want to go back, you go back. Turn left, turn right, go down, go up. And it's Bluetooth, so I can hand it to anybody. And it's meant for a 16-year-old to throw it around, and super durable. We keep a couple of spares on board.
Have you heard the theory of the Titanic and the Federal Reserve? Well, here it goes. So on the Titanic, there's some extremely wealthy passengers like J.P. Morgan.
We heard about this.
John Rockefeller and the Rothschilds. But then you have Jacob Astor, the wealthiest man in the world at the time. He owned about 40% of all mortgages, and he was a Freemason who was very opposed to the idea of a central bank. Whereas J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschild strongly supported the idea of a central bank. So Jacob Astor was the only one standing in the way of a central bank at the time. Coincidentally, the morning the Titanic was supposed to set sail, J.P. Morgan, some Rothschilds, and others quietly exited the ship without any explanation. 5 days later, Titanic slams into an iceberg and it starts to sink. And even though Jacob Astor is the wealthiest man in the world, he still can't find a seat in a lifeboat, and he ends up sinking with the ship. Shortly after, these guys become the wealthiest men in the world, and without Jacob Astor standing in their way, the next year in 1913, on Jekyll Island in Georgia, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law, paving the way to print money out of thin air and completely control our monetary system. Was this a coincidence or a conspiracy?
Because we don't believe in coincidence. Everything happens for a reason.
It's almost like that submarine incident was planned too. Because it just doesn't make sense. Why pay so much money just to go down there until your death. And with all that being said, it almost seems like they went somewhere else. Like they didn't die. Like nobody found bodies or anything like that. So.
Video.
The model of going to school to learn is relatively new. Before 1900, most children learned at home and out in the real world. In 1837, the state of Massachusetts formed the first state board of education, with Horace Mann as its secretary. Mann believed that everyone was entitled to the same content in education. Returning from a research trip to Germany in 1848, Mann lobbied heavily to have the Prussian model adopted. He quickly set about establishing a statewide system of common schools, staffed by professionally trained teachers. His ideas quickly gained momentum, and by 1852, Massachusetts passed a compulsory attendance law. Mann also believed that school could become a great equalizer, and values such as obedience to authority, promptness in attendance, and organizing time according to bell ringing would help students prepare for future employment in an industrial age.
And the whole
Promptness in attendance and organizing time according to bell ringing would help students prepare for future employment in an industrial age.
And the whole purpose of it is to create a docile factory military workforce. The whole purpose is to subordinate children and get them in that mindset of being subordinated so they grow up to be subordinated adults.
This is the poorest class I've had. Prussian schooling had been out to destroy the imagination. In every public library worth its salt in the United States and in every college library, you will find a collection of essays by a Prussian philosopher, Johann Fichte. Fichte said we have to set up a system of universal forced schooling in which we destroy the imagination. Bells, ordered lessons, constant testing, rankings.
The entire system is designed to regiment a large group of people and to get them all to do the exact same thing.
By 1900, 34 states had compulsory schooling laws. Half the nation's children attended one-room schools. And by 1918, every state required students to complete elementary school.
The reality is they want children to take their place in society, be cogs, and keep this system going. So you're going to school to take your place.
You're a part of the system.
Your attitude. You don't pay enough attention in class.
Do you see how they put the information right there out in front of you? And it's still going to be people that's defending this school system. They have been training us since the age of 4, if not maybe younger, to be programmed into this military mindset of basically working for somebody else. Losing your imagination, throwing that out. Your creativity, throwing that out. Your own entrepreneurship, throwing that out. To fall in line with the system.
While we were all distracted by a submarine this week, BlackRock and JP Morgan were busy buying out Ukraine. Fortunately, our man Timothy James was keeping his eyes open. And his wise ass had the idea to say, what are we being distracted from right now?
Well, everyone's distracted. I was like, what has BlackRock and the other big banks been doing this entire week while no one's looking? BlackRock and JP Morgan helped set up Ukraine.
When I see a source or I see some information, I just go look it up for myself too. Because it's 2023 and we should all be doing our own research. And it was pretty easy to find the first article that Timothy was referencing, and his analysis seems pretty spot on. Good thing we got reputable organizations like BlackRock and JP Morgan setting up our reconstruction bank to steer public seed capital into rebuilding projects. What's public seed capital? Government seed capital often gets things going. It is usually in the form of grants, which are financial awards that do not require repayment. Where would the government get money to do that kind of thing? I mean, where does the government get all of its money? Oh yeah, from taxes. Who pays taxes? Individuals. So you're telling me that BlackRock and JP Morgan are setting up a bank to reconstruct Ukraine using tax money? Hold up. Oh, wait, it's all good, because that's going to attract hundreds of billions of dollars of private investment. The World Bank estimated in March that Ukraine would need $411 billion to rebuild after the war. Private investment would mean corporations and companies and businesses investing in that reconstruction. It's a good thing they're all going to be given so charitably to this reconstruction and not expecting any payment in return and not making any profits off of that. Because it'd be pretty up to live in a world where wars got started for corporate profit and the same people that benefited from bombing these places were also benefiting from rebuilding these places. Man, it sure is good they got that public seed money to get all this business started. These poor kids need homes. I just thank the Lord every day for this courageous soul helping to rebuild the world. Bless his soul. It's just so peaceful to look at. Nah, for real though, I mean, thank goodness the State Street is the top owner of Lockheed Martin, because otherwise BlackRock and Vanguard would be at the top of that list. I mean, if BlackRock and Vanguard owned a whole bunch of, military contractors and stuff, then they would probably be profiting off of war as well. Gosh, it sure is great to live in America where our government's looking out for peace and prosperity of the world. I feel like I gotta get informed. I'm gonna go turn on some news and see what's going on. Hey, I wonder if they ever found that submarine.
He's funny! He's so sarcastic! Shout out to Gumbo.
Y'all, look at this. That's over Disneyland.
Oh, no way.
So first of all, it's chemtrails being sprayed over Disneyland. They trying to poison the people there. And two, it's an upside down pentagram. The upside down pentagram deals with reversal energy. This is a regular pentagram, and this is an upside down / inverted pentagram, which draws power from dark realms. And for them to be doing this over Disneyland speaks major volume. I'm sure we've all heard stories about what Disneyland is and what goes on behind the doors of Disneyland. This right here is casting a spell upon the people below. And they don't even know it. They probably just think this is a regular star. But no, there are spells being casted upon these people. And this is supposed to be a children's place. This is spiritual warfare thrown right in people's faces.
It's just a star.
The United States Navy knew that the folks that were on the Titan were dead. They've known since last Sunday. A U.S. Navy detected what was likely the Titan explosion on Sunday, according to an official. The U.S. Navy acoustic system detected an anomaly Sunday that was likely the Titan's fatal explosion, according to a senior military official. The Navy had gone back to analyze its acoustic data after the Titan submersible was reported missing last Sunday. The Navy passed on the information to the Coast Guard, which continued its search because the Navy did not consider the data to be definitive. They've known all week that them folks were dead. They didn't put this out earlier this week. They didn't put it out Sunday when they got the memo. They've known all week, but they decided to wait to announce it until JP Morgan Chase was fined by the SEC after mistakenly deleting 47 million emails. Because of those deleted emails, the report indicated that JP Morgan is now unable to comply with at least 12 civil securities related to regulatory probes to comply with subpoenas and document requests for communications because they've been permanently deleted. Furthermore, you should research the actual Titanic sinking and JP Morgan. You all were right. This was an orchestrated distraction.
Well, I guess I won't be using JP Morgan anymore. I suggest y'all do the same. Till then, I'll catch y'all in the next one.